Have you noticed your grocery bill creeping up? Again? Or maybe the price tag on that household item you've been eyeing just spiked. Well, buckle up, because what's coming next could hit your wallet even harder, especially if you're a Social Security recipient living on a fixed income. The truth is, there's something quietly happening behind the scenes that could make everyday essentials even more expensive in the coming weeks. It has to do with tariffs and what companies like Walmart, Apple, and even your local drugstore are doing to stay ahead of them. But are these price hikes really about tariffs, or is there something more going on? Let's unpack this together, because this story impacts every American who depends on Social Security. Let's start with a question. Do you believe tariffs actually increase prices? It's a fair question, one that divides economists, policymakers, and even everyday folks. Some say companies use tariffs as an excuse to charge more. Others argue they simply have no choice. But here's what's undeniable. Walmart has officially announced that it plans to raise prices specifically because of tariffs. And they're not alone. The big question we all need to ask is, are these companies passing along legitimate costs or padding their profits? For people on a fixed income, this distinction matters. If you're relying on Social Security, your benefits aren't increasing at the same pace as your bills. So knowing why prices are rising is more than a debate. It's personal. In April, inflation came in at just 2.3%, the lowest it's been since February 2021. On paper, that sounds like good news, right? But don't be fooled. This number doesn't tell the full story. What actually happened is that major companies like Apple, Costco, Target, and Rivian went into emergency mode. They stockpiled inventory ahead of tariff increases, and that gave them a temporary cushion. For instance, Apple airlifted 1.5 million iPhones from India just to beat the new costs. But here's the catch. That inventory is running out, and quickly. What we saw in April was a calm before the storm. And when the storm hits, Social Security recipients, especially those budgeting every penny, will feel it the most. Walmart, Costco, Target, even pharmaceutical companies, all stocked up on goods while they were still cheap. Most companies had about 3 weeks' worth of inventory purchased at pre-tariff prices. Some stretched that to 1 to 2 months, but that buffer is vanishing by the day. Why does this matter? Because once that inventory is gone, the next batch of goods will cost more, and those extra costs will be passed on to you. And here's the real kicker. Some companies tried to absorb the cost to avoid upsetting customers. But they can only do that for so long before shareholders start complaining about shrinking profits. So if you think you've been spared so far, don't get too comfortable. The price hikes are coming. Walmart's CFO confirmed it. Prices are going up. Not on everything just yet, but definitely on categories like electronics, toys, vacuum cleaners, car seats, and baby strollers. These are not luxury items. Many are everyday essentials, especially for families on limited incomes or fixed benefits. Walmart, like many retailers, is now admitting they simply can't keep prices low while eating 30% tariffs. For example, if a car seat's cost is hit with a 30% tariff, you're looking at double-digit price hikes. And while some customers may shrug that off, for someone living solely on Social Security, a 10 to 15% jump in prices can make or break a budget. Now here's the part most people don't realize, and it's what could hit you the hardest. Companies won't just raise prices on imported goods that are subject to tariffs. They're going to raise prices across the board. Why? Because if they only raise prices on certain items, those products will stick out on the shelves. Customers will notice and potentially stop buying them. So instead, companies will quietly raise prices on everything, even on products that were made right here in the USA. That means even if you try to buy American, it won't protect you from higher prices. This strategy is meant to smooth out the impact for the retailers. But for you, the shopper, it means more expensive groceries, toiletries, home goods, and more, whether tariffs touch them or not. You might be thinking, okay, but when will I see these changes? According to Walmart's CFO, the most noticeable price hikes will begin in the second half of May, which is now, and they'll become even more pronounced in June, continuing into the third quarter. That's through September. So if you haven't seen sticker shock yet, just wait. It's on the horizon, and it'll land right as utility bills spike for summer and back-to-school spending begins. If you're on Social Security and planning your summer budget, these price changes could come at the worst possible time. In a twist that's turning political, President Trump recently posted on Truth Social, calling out Walmart, saying they should stop blaming tariffs and instead eat the cost themselves. Walmart responded publicly, stating that they've always worked to keep prices as low as possible, but they can't absorb tariffs this large on their own. Whether you side with Trump or Walmart, the bottom line is clear. You, the consumer, will still be paying the price. And this debate isn't just political theater. It's a preview of a broader national conversation about who really pays when policies shift. In the end, it's often Social Security recipients, retirees, and low-income Americans who feel the brunt of these economic moves. So, what can you expect going forward? Gradual, but unavoidable, price hikes across the board. Not just because of inflation, but because of tariff inflation. It's a double hit to your pocketbook, especially for anyone living on fixed Social Security benefits. Now is the time to review your budget, track your spending, and pay close attention to which prices are creeping up first. If this concerns you, and it should, subscribe to the channel, because I'll continue monitoring how this unfolds, who it affects the most, and what can be done to prepare. Thanks for being part of the community. Stay informed and, as always, take care of yourself and your wallet.